Even MSNBC has had to admit the Caravan isn't what the left spent weeks portraying it as. Watch this admission.
The truth is, the majority of the people that are part of this caravan, especially outside, if we can make our way all the way over there, we'll show you the majority of them are men. From what we've seen, the majority are actually men, and some of these men have not articulated that need for asylum. Instead, they have talked about, going to the United States for a better life and to find work.
Enrique Acevedo is an anchor at Univision and a frequent and welcome guest on the show, and he joins us tonight. Enrique, thanks very much for coming on. So now that it's here and the facts on the ground are undeniable, can we stop lying and admit what is obviously true, that this caravan is not primarily mothers with children, it's primarily men?
I find it interesting, Tucker, that you're criticizing journalists for presenting a partial view of the caravan while you're doing the exact same thing, just from the opposite side of the ideological spectrum.
For lying in concert, for lying together as a group, reading the same talking points from the Democratic National Committee off a script in order to influence an election, which is what they were doing. That's what I'm accusing them of doing.
The Caravan is not a monolithic group, Tucker. It's 8,000 different stories, 8,000 different realities. And according to the government's own numbers, less than 10%, without any evidence, but according to those numbers, less than 10% have any criminal background. So you're talking about a group of 600 among more than 8,000 people. So 90% of them, the majority of them, have a legitimate claim to request asylum. That's according to the Secretary of DHS, Kristen Nielsen.
For one thing, I would say if 600 out of 8,000 are, quote, known criminals, that is a higher percentage than a cross-section of the American population. So we're getting way more criminals per capita than we have already in this country.
They're not going to get in because if they have a criminal background, then they won't be allowed in and their asylum request will be denied. So
just as a
you don't have to worry about that. Let's talk now about the other 90%.
This is what I'm talking about. Hold on. Just because you don't have a criminal record does not mean you're eligible for asylum. So please address Buck Sexton's, I thought, very incisive point that if you are seeking asylum, you are by definition required to ask for it in the first safe country you reach, where you don't face a mortal threat. And that was Mexico, where they were offered asylum, but they didn't take it.
Keyword being safe, not a country where thousands of people are being killed every year. Actually, more than 500,000 people have been killed in Mexico in the last decade or so. So it's not a safe country. I wouldn't characterize Mexico as that.
So that relates to my second question. I knew you were going to say that. So let me just ask you the follow-up, the logical follow-up, which is if Mexico is so dangerous, then you could not seek asylum there because you're imperiled just by being in Mexico. Then why isn't the entire population of Mexico eligible for asylum in the United States?
Well, this is the thing, Tucker. You see these immigrants, these Central American immigrants going across Mexico. They are victims of extortion, rape. They are victims of murder. And sometimes they're recruited by these criminal gangs. That's why, in part, they're now moving across Mexico in a large group because they know strength and security.
I can't let you dodge the question. I understand. They want to come here. It's a great country. I get it. I don't blame them. But what I blame is the media, which has been lying relentlessly in an effort to convince Americans of things that aren't true. So let me just ask you, let me pin you down here. No, you've said they can't accept the offer of shelter. Mexico said, we will shelter you. We'll give you asylum. Sure. They offered that.
I think it's a fair criticism. We insist on putting this label on the caravan and doing just, again, framing this debate on absolutes is good, is bad.
Hold on. Why is the entire population of Mexico, since you said it's too dangerous to live in, why are they not all eligible for asylum in the United States? Sincere question.
Well, it's a complicated question, but I'm happy to answer it. There are around more than 130 million people in Mexico.
Right,
and violence is focused in mainly bordering states with the U.S. and in other parts of the country.
Actually.
So not the 130 million are in peril, but it is a dangerous country, and it is, a country where
how many Mexicans would you say are eligible for? But hold on, since it's so dangerous, how many Mexicans, just spitball it for me, are eligible under our asylum laws to come to the United States?
You should ask an immigration judge that question, and everyone should have the chance to present the case.
Everyone has a right to come here.
We can debate all we want, but they're the ones who are going to judge the merits of an asylum claim. And
when you abuse our generosity, we become less generous.
To stop framing this debate in absolutes and to understand that there are nuances and there's context. There's not just one thing.
I'm not the one who's framing it in absolutes. You're the one who told me it was all women with kids and strollers. You told me that.
According to
the
again, let's go back to the numbers, the official numbers. Right. According to CBP, the majority of arrests today at the border are family units. So that's women and children.
But
that's not an interpretation. That's a fact.
That doesn't mean the majority in the caravan were. Enrique, I hope you will come back. It is always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.